Right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the wall promised for the border. Trump's immigration policies, much like his campaign promises, were about as subtle as a mariachi band at a library. His administration aimed for a seismic shift in U.S. immigration, pushing for stricter border control and a hardline stance on undocumented immigrants. This included the infamous border wall, travel bans targeting specific countries, and a significant increase in ICE activity. The stated goal? To curb illegal immigration and protect American jobs. Now, the effectiveness of these policies is a topic for another day, or a dozen last week tonight segments. But what we can dissect right now is the economic fallout. See, when you talk about mass deportations, you're not just talking about splitting families and upending lives. You're talking about ripping a hole in the American workforce, particularly in sectors like agriculture and construction, which rely heavily on immigrant labor. Let's start with agriculture. The United States, for all its culinary innovation, still depends on human hands to pick its fruits and vegetables. And those hands often belong to immigrant workers, many of whom are undocumented. Now imagine a mass exodus of those workers. Fields lie fallow, crops rot unharvested, and grocery store shelves start looking a little bare. That's not just bad for business, it's bad for everyone who likes to eat. Then there's construction. From houses to highways, much of America's infrastructure relies on the sweat equity of, you guessed it, immigrant workers. Deportations mean labor shortages, which mean construction projects stall, costs skyrocket, and that dream home starts looking more like a distant fantasy. And let's not forget the ripple effect. Fewer construction jobs mean fewer jobs in related industries like manufacturing and transportation. The economic impact of mass deportations goes beyond just industries. Remember those families we talked about earlier, the ones being torn apart? Well, many of them rely on remittances. Money sent back home by family members working in the U.S. deportations mean a drop in those remittances, which can have devastating effects on developing economies. And what about the American workers left behind? Sure, some argue that fewer immigrant workers mean higher wages for Americans. But that's assuming those American workers are willing and able to fill those jobs, which often require specialized skills or backbreaking labor. The reality is more complex, with potential for labor shortages, wage stagnation, and a whole lot of economic uncertainty. Now it's worth noting that Trump wasn't the first president to grapple with deportation. The Obama administration, despite its more humane rhetoric, also deported a significant number of undocumented immigrants. But the scale and scope of Trump's proposed policies, coupled with the inflammatory rhetoric, created a climate of fear and uncertainty that had a tangible impact on the economy. The Trump era may be over, but its shadow still looms large over the immigration debate. And as we move forward, it's crucial to have a nuanced, fact-based discussion about the economic realities of immigration, one that moves beyond sound bites and fear-mongering. Because ultimately the health of the American economy is inextricably linked to the well-being of all its residents, regardless of where they were born.